Welcome to a dose of deeper contemplation. We have cultivated this self-healing practice as we navigate the many aspects of modern life with the desire to be a better human. As a psychic medium, these conversations are channeled, so let's take a walk together and talk it out. Okay, this is very interesting coming in. When we say that one person is not being mindful to the other person, what exactly does that mean? A lot of folks might have different definitions of that. For us, our definition of being mindful of another is also like awareness of the connectivity, awareness of the relationship, awareness that what we do can impact each other. And the reason that this was coming forward is because today we had a very interesting experience when we inquired with an individual who had done something that did not feel mindful of us, in that we had asked that something not happen, no longer be, and that later on to find out that that individual wasn't mindful of that request. And so what we had asked to stop actually was still happening. And fortunately, through the practice of emotional intelligence, that conversation was able to go down fairly gracefully. And so as we followed up and said, hello, this is something that we asked to not happen, and we see that it is still happening. This is our second time we're asking, can you please stop this? And please hear that. And to which the reply came, yes, we hear it. It will stop. Great. And in so many ways, it's like, great, move on. There was a question that was present though, and it felt like it was calling to be asked. And so that question was a follow-up in that we are curious as to why, if our request was being honored and heard, why that what didn't happen the first time, when it was very clear what we had asked for. And the answer at that time was like, yes, we'll acknowledge that. Take care of it. So when we asked, why did this happen? The answer was just that they weren't being mindful. And that was a responsibility that was being taken, just not aware and not mindful. So in comes this contemplation about the triggers of not being mindful can so oftentimes be because your mind is full. When our minds are so full all the time with thoughts, there's very little room for presence, which is actually dwelling in the thought less, as in less thoughts that are generated from the mind, and more thoughts, if you will, generated from within source energy, within that inner mind, within the universal mind, and connecting those two channels. The way we connect into that channel is by shutting down the thoughts, less thoughts. A lot of folks know this is a major part of many different types of meditation teachings, but can be a core principle, as we learned and discovered after studying many different methods of meditation. What's challenging to keep in balance, and that's why a practice is so important, is that left to the devices of this current world that we live in, it's important to keep us in our thoughts. It's important to keep our minds full. It's important to keep folks under control by distracting them constantly with something to do or think about. And in so many situations, it's not even just think about, it's worry about. It's worry about in some form. Worry can essentially be a normative feeling of constant fear. Does it feel like your mind is full a lot of the time with things to worry about? If so, it's a very interesting practice to kind of go through that line item of worries and really get to the core, the source of what that thing is that you're constantly worried about, that constantly keeps your mind full. When our minds are full, it's hard and challenging to then become mindful, aware of what's really all around us in universal source energy, to begin to know, to begin to understand ourselves fully tapped in and connected to this and what that existence looks like. An existence of awareness. What would it feel like to have your mind not so full all the time? Well, we certainly would feel more peace. We certainly could feel like there's not too much on the plate and that things are forgotten or have to become prioritized. Might not feel like this existence of just like feeling like you're always having to catch up. It's certainly an interesting contemplation. Our minds are full. How do we go from being mindful to just mindful? Thank you for joining us in this conversation. This is Deep Dose, and we are Eden.